Jehovah is a miracle worker. What's a miracle? How would you describe it? Well, let's give a simple definition. A miracle is a powerful work that can't be explained in human terms. Whenever Jehovah performs a miracle, he has a purpose. And one reason might be to strengthen the faith of his servants. And that's the title of this talk. Jehovah's powerful works inspire faith. Well, we love to consider the miracles recorded in the Bible. It's really faith-strengthening, isn't it? So during this talk, we're going to consider just a few. How about this one? Jehovah leads the Israelites out of Egypt. They arrive at the Red Sea, and it seems they're trapped. The sea's ahead of them. Pharaoh and his armies are behind. But Jehovah causes the waters of the Red Sea to part, and the Israelites cross over on dry land. When Pharaoh and his armies follow, Jehovah brings the sea back to its normal condition, and the cream of the crop of Egyptian manhood drowns. Now we know what effect that miracle had on the Egyptians, but what effect did it have on the Israelites? Let's see. Exodus chapter 14 and verse 31. I'll give you a moment so you can find that. It says, Israel also saw the great power that Jehovah wielded against the Egyptians, and the people began to fear Jehovah and to put faith in Jehovah. So that miracle inspired faith in the Israelites.
We're hearing from governing body member David Splane. He's taking us through the talk, Jehovah's Powerful Works Inspire Faith. This is a motivating talk in which Jehovah's Witnesses are being urged to look at miracles, at the various ways that Jehovah has come to the rescue in the form of miracles in Bible times. And to kick us off, of course, we have the story of the Egyptians drowning in the Red Sea. And bear in mind, of course, this is again a convention at which children will be present. We've established already in, I think, the Friday morning, in just the first few minutes of the Friday morning of the convention, it's acknowledged that there will be children in the audience. And here we have David Splane giving a talk in which he's just matter-of-factly talking about a whole bunch of people drowning.
When Pharaoh and his armies follow, Jehovah brings the sea back to its normal condition, and the cream of the crop of Egyptian manhood drowns.
So apparently that's a perfectly appropriate mental image for young Jimmy and little Sarah to be listening to as they're forcibly sitting through this convention with their parents. Again, this isn't optional. Jehovah's Witness children have to be subjected to this propaganda marathon, in this case, dwelling on the thought of Egyptian soldiers drowning. Meanwhile, what's the fate for the Israelites?
Now we know what effect that miracle had on the Egyptians, but what effect did it have on the Israelites?
Well, that's an easy one. Most of them end up dying in the desert. This is something you just don't think about when you are a fundamentalist Christian or a Jehovah's Witness. You never ponder what happens after these 3 million Israelites cross the Red Sea and end up on the Arabian Peninsula. It's basically going to be a slow and unpleasant way to die. And as proof, we need only go to Insight on the Scriptures, Volume 1, in the section that talks about Caleb. It says, because he had followed Jehovah his God fully, he was the only one of that adult generation, besides Joshua and some Levites, to enter the promised land in 1473 BCE. Imagine you were there. I don't think this happened, by the way. Just to be clear, there is zero archaeological evidence for the exodus from Egypt, especially this notion that God parted the waters of the Red Sea, allowing 3 million Israelites to walk along the seabed. But imagine it did happen, and imagine you were there to welcome the Israelites on the other side, Imagine saying, "Welcome to the Arabian Peninsula. Bad news, I'm afraid. Every single adult who's here, apart from... Where's Joshua? Joshua, hi. Apart from Joshua, Caleb, oh, hi, Caleb, and a few Levites, everyone else who's an adult, you're all going to die in the desert." I don't think that news would have gone down so well, do you? But this is apparently, we're led to believe, this is apparently what happened, and this was a miracle. It's a miracle that God did this, delivered his people so that they could escape the Egyptians and cross into the Arabian Peninsula, where the overwhelming majority of them who weren't children would die an unpleasant death. Yeah, what a miracle.
I hear you say, "I'd like to see a miracle. That'd help a lot to strengthen my faith." We see miracles every day. What's a miracle? It's a powerful work that can't be explained in human terms. A modern example of that is prayer. Isn't prayer amazing? Can you explain it? Jehovah can listen to millions of prayers in any language all at once. That's a miracle. But how does prayer build our faith? When we pray about a problem that nobody but Jehovah knows about, and our prayer is answered, our faith is strengthened. Now that is powerful. And what about all the experiences we hear where someone desperately prayed to God, "If you exist, please send someone to teach me about you." And 10 minutes later, a witness knocks on the door. Coincidence or miracle? Another miracle, our Christian brotherhood. Isn't it remarkable? Who can explain it? Former enemies become fast friends. You can go to a kingdom hall anywhere in the world, and you'll find your brothers and sisters. They'll be glad to see you. You'll feel at ease. You'll know what they believe and what they'll be studying at the meetings. You'll see and feel the love. In times of ethnic cleansing, how often do we read of brothers and sisters who risk their lives to hide fellow believers who happen to be from another tribe?
So this is a really interesting part of David Splane's talk. David Splane is here arguing that, number one, miracles happen today, and number two, miracles serve a purpose. They are needed as a means of strengthening faith.
I hear you say, "I'd like to see a miracle. That'd help a lot to strengthen my faith." We see miracles every day. What's a miracle? It's a powerful work that can't be explained in human terms. A modern example of that is prayer.
So miracles are still happening, apparently. They are needed as a means of strengthening faith. One example is prayer. The very fact that people pray is apparently a miracle. A second example that David Splane goes on to give is that of the experience of Jehovah's Witnesses calling when they're wanted. We routinely hear this claim, by the way. Apparently when someone is praying for guidance from God, for clarity about the Bible, apparently if a Jehovah's Witness calls shortly afterwards, this is proof that God is answering the prayer. No thought for the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses are calling randomly on everyone, and it's inevitable when that's the situation that sooner or later a Jehovah's Witness is going to call on someone who happens to be praying to God, asking for help or praying for guidance in some way. Anyway, that's another example, apparently, of a miracle. Third example, unity of belief. Go anywhere in the world, and no matter what kingdom hall or congregation you visit, everyone believes the same as you do. Everyone's reading the same Watchtower article. You have a home, you have somewhere to stay. Wherever you go, there's unity. Yeah, that's kind of what you get when you have a cult where everybody has to believe exactly the same thing, or there are harsh penalties in the form of ostracism. And a fourth example of miracles, apparently, the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses are willing to die for each other. No consideration of the fact that this is purely about conditional love. It's about a tribe looking out for its own interests. It would be more extraordinary, in my view, if Jehovah's Witnesses were willing to die for former believers, for those who stopped attending meetings, who were considered bad association. No, it's only the fellow believers that Jehovah's Witnesses are willing to risk their lives for, to stick their neck out for. And as I've repeatedly argued on this channel, there's nothing extraordinary about that. So anyway, these are apparently the 4 examples of modern day miracles that David Splane wants Jehovah's Witnesses to consider. My question is, which is it? Are miracles a thing today or are they not? I ask that question because in 2005, there was an article titled Miracles, Fact or Fiction. This was the 2005 February 15th Watchtower. And there was a box in this article headed, Why Certain Miracles No Longer Occur. So it's not that miracles no longer occur, it's just that certain miracles no longer occur. Isn't that interesting? So there are still supernatural things happening. It's just that those supernatural things are different. They're sort of the things that you would expect to happen anyway, or that could be the product of coincidence. All of the stuff that couldn't be the product of coincidence, such as, for example, the Red Sea parting, that's the stuff that's no longer happening conveniently. And that's basically what it says in this article. If you'll allow me to read, it says, Paul explained that these gifts would pass away once they were no longer needed. Whether there are gifts of prophesying, they will be done away with. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will be done away with. For we have partial knowledge and we prophesy partially. But when that which is complete arrives, that which is partial will be done away with. Today, people have access to Bibles, as well as concordances and encyclopedias. Over 6 million trained Christians are assisting others to gain divine knowledge based on the Bible. Thus, miracles are no longer necessary to attest to Jesus Christ as God's appointed deliverer or to provide proof that Jehovah is backing his servants. Miracles are no longer necessary. And yet even this article acknowledges, well, it's not all miracles, it's just some miracles. It's just the miracles that are convincing. It's just the miracles that are compelling and persuasive that are no longer necessary. But what have we heard in David Splane's talk? Apparently miracles are necessary. Apparently just having a Bible isn't enough. People need miracles so that they can have their faith strengthened. That's what we've heard David Splane arguing. And he's given this list of miracles that are supposed to strengthen the faith of Jehovah's Witnesses. So my question is, which is it? Are we having miracles today or are we not? Are miracles needed or are they not needed? And is it not a little bit convenient for a huckster like David Splane that it's only the unconvincing miracles that people need in order for their faith to be strengthened?